Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're welcome into year 1442, Ramadan. This year, inshallah, we're going to take ourselves through the journey of the soul and the purification of the heart and character, which is the main reason why Allah has used the month of Ramadan to train and to change the character of Muslims into what is expected of us to be throughout the year. My name is Imam Hakeem Kosoko from Lagos State Secretariat Mosque, Alausa Ikeja. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Kareem.
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala ashraf al-anbiya sayyid al-mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Today we're going to talk about the 7 individuals that Allah has promised to shade them on the day of judgment, on the day where no one will be under the shade except those that Allah has permitted. The Prophet ﷺ was saying through Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu that the 7 people who will be under the shade of Allah on the day where the sun will be brought closer and the people will be submerged in their sweat. Some sweat will be at the ankle, some sweat will be at the knees, some will be at your waist, some will be at your navel, some at your neck, and some people will be submerged. And on this day, Allah has promised some 7 group of people. And he said, Imam Adlu. Imam Adlu, a just ruler. A ruler that is just is the first. And somebody may be just. A husband can be just in his house. The justice a man established amongst his family is limited to his family. The justice someone established within his friend is limited to your friend. But if a leader establishes justice, that justice carries everybody and everybody is inclusive. This is what we lack today in the world, not only in our country. There's no single place in the world today where rulers are just. There is no justice. And the Prophet said, one of those in that category is a just ruler. And secondly, Shabun Nasha fi ibadatullah, a young man who has reserved energy that is reserved and preserved in his body, that can be used for anything, that can be used for amusement, that can be used for sport, that can be used for what we do in the world today. Things that are not, spiritually inclined. But if a youth not chooses to use those energy, those reserved energy on the part of Allah, and exhausted his youth age in serving Allah, you can serve Allah not only in the masjid, you can serve Allah by your personal interpersonal relationship. You serve Allah in your business. You serve Allah in your school. You serve Allah in your studies. You serve Allah in respecting people. You serve Allah in giving what is due to them, back to them. You serve Allah by not revenge when you are in the position. These are the things that you do and you preserve your strength for. So the second is a youth who is always agile, enthusiastic in serving Allah Azza Jalla wa Ala. ورجل قلبه متعلق بالمسجد. Again, the third person is a man whose heart is connected to the mosque. Yes, your heart must be connected to the mosque, not necessarily be sitting in the mosque. Umar radiallahu anhu chased some people out of the mosque because they interpret this hadith literally, that because your heart is muta'allaq bil masjid, you have to go to the mosque. He said, no, that everything that you do, whether you are in the mosque or not, is just like your relationship, which says that when the Prophet was asked what is asanat, in the hadith Jibril, that he said, أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه وإنه يراك. You worship Allah as if you are seeing Allah physically. Because if you don't see Allah, you have to have the realization that Allah is forever watching over you. So, anybody whose heart is connected to the masjid will always be mindful of your thought, of your actions, of your speech, and everything. So, that is the third person. The fourth, have two individuals, two men, تحابا في الله اجتمع عليه وتفرق عليه. Two people who were joined together in their love for Allah. The reason why they love each other is because they want to carry out a righteous deed. They come together to be righteous, and when others deviate, they disagree based on what Allah has dictated to them. So these are the four categories. Then another category is a young man or a young woman. A young man دعته المرأة ذات الحسنة والجمال. A man that was invited into immoral or illegal sexual activity by a very beautiful woman and influential. Look at these two things. The woman is very beautiful and also influential. These are the two things that can naturally seduce men. One, she's beautiful, yes. Second, she's rich. She's connected. She's endowed from a good family. And the man said, Inni akhafullah, I fear Allah, and I am not going to do this. Or in other words, a man who is very powerful at the same time, very handsome, young, good looking, invite another woman into having immoral sex, and she denied, not minding his nature and not minding the influence that it can use into making things work for her. So these another category of people that will be under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then again, is a man الرجل تصدق بصدقة فخفاها حتى لا تعلم شمالي ما تنفق يمينه. A man who gives charity and he hates people to know that he was the one that did the charity. A man that gives something and hates that people announce his name. He hates that people attach those charity to him. Because he does whatever he does it fi sabilillah. So it's a literary thing that when you do with your left hand, the other hand is not aware. So that's is a figurative speech that whatever you do, you don't announce it. And finally, is a man who fears Allah, who remembers Allah, lonely. It goes into the room in the dark night, remembers Allah, fear Allah, be conscious of Allah's presence, and cry. And cry from the bottom of his heart to show that he has offended Allah and sincerely asks for forgiveness, and again in showing appreciation to what Allah has done in his life. These are the 7 group of people who will be under the shade of Allah on that day when no shade will be given. I pray that Allah will count us among one of these group on the day of Qiyamah. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم. I've said what I said. I seek for Allah's forgiveness for myself and for you. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.